So Bison, in one of the ceremonies, he said, I didn't want to die, but your dad would have died if I didn't die. So he took my dad's.
Most people believe the Dog Whisperer ended because of low ratings. Others blame animal experts, lawsuits, or television executives. But the real story is far more shocking. Behind the calm smile and confident personality of Cesar Millan was a man slowly losing everything that mattered. For years, millions of viewers watched him transform aggressive dogs into calm companions within minutes. Families trusted him, celebrities hired him, and his television show became one of the biggest successes on National Geographic. It looked like nothing could stop him. But while cameras captured incredible transformations, another story was unfolding behind the scenes. Animal behavior specialists were publicly attacking his methods. Welfare organizations questioned his techniques. Legal problems began making headlines. And at home, the man who taught the world how to stay calm was struggling with pain no audience could see. The strange part is that none of these problems appeared overnight. They built slowly, year after year, until the pressure became impossible to ignore. Long before television fame, Cesar Millan was just a young boy growing up in Culiacan, Mexico. He spent most of his childhood around animals on his grandfather's farm and noticed something unusual. Nervous dogs relaxed when he approached. Aggressive dogs seemed to trust him without fear. Family members called him the dog boy because he preferred spending time with animals instead of people. As he grew older, Cesar dreamed of becoming the world's greatest dog trainer. The dream sounded impossible. His family had little money, he couldn't afford veterinary school, and he didn't speak English. But at 21 years old, carrying only $100 from his father, he decided to leave Mexico and chase a future in America. The beginning was brutal. He arrived in California with almost nothing, accepted any work he could find, cleaned dogs, groomed them, walked them through neighborhoods, and slowly built a reputation through results instead of advertisements. Every satisfied owner recommended him to another client, and before long wealthy families and Hollywood celebrities wanted to know the quiet trainer who could calm even the most difficult dogs. One of those people was actress Jada Pinkett Smith. After watching Cesar work, she immediately believed he belonged on television. She encouraged him to learn English, arranged lessons, and pushed him to communicate his ideas with confidence. Cesar worked tirelessly until he could explain his philosophy to a national audience. That opportunity finally arrived in 2004 when National Geographic launched a small series called Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan. At first almost nobody paid attention. The network gave it little promotion and expected modest results. But viewers quickly became fascinated by the man who could walk into complete chaos and leave behind calm, balanced dogs. The show exploded in popularity. Millions tuned in every week, it reached viewers in dozens of countries, and Cesar Millan became one of the most recognizable faces in animal television. Success seemed unstoppable. But while fans celebrated every episode, respected scientists, veterinarians, and animal behavior experts were quietly preparing a challenge that would eventually threaten everything he had built. As Dog Whisperer became a global success, Cesar Millan's confidence inspired millions of dog owners. His philosophy was simple. Dogs needed a calm and confident leader, and most behavioral problems started with human mistakes rather than the animals themselves. Viewers loved the idea because it looked simple, effective, and almost magical. Every episode followed the same pattern. A frightened family would introduce an aggressive or uncontrollable dog. Within hours, Cesar would walk in, remain completely relaxed, make a few corrections, and the dog's behavior would begin to change. It made for incredible television, and ratings continued to climb. But outside television studios, many experts were becoming increasingly concerned. Veterinary behaviorists and animal psychologists argued that modern research no longer supported the old dominance theory that Cesar often referenced. According to many specialists, dogs were not constantly trying to become the alpha leader of the family. Instead, fear, anxiety, poor socialization, and environment explained most behavioral problems. Several respected organizations publicly criticized the show's methods, warning that inexperienced owners could misunderstand what they saw on television and accidentally make aggressive situations even worse. The debate quickly spread across newspapers, magazines, and television interviews. Supporters defended Cesar by pointing to thousands of successful rehabilitated dogs and grateful families. Critics insisted that television entertainment should never replace scientific animal behavior practices. Instead of apologizing, Cesar stood by his philosophy. He repeatedly explained that he worked with real dangerous dogs every day and trusted practical experience more than academic theories. His confidence impressed loyal fans but also created even bigger headlines. Every interview seemed to divide people into two groups: those who believed he was a genius and those who believed he was dangerously outdated. Then the controversy moved beyond opinions. Legal complaints and public incidents started attracting attention from television executives and animal welfare organizations. Reports of dogs allegedly being injured during training sessions appeared in the media, creating questions that the network could no longer ignore. While every claim had its own circumstances and not every allegation resulted in legal consequences, the constant negative publicity slowly damaged the show's reputation. For National Geographic, this created a difficult situation. The series was still successful, but every new controversy increased the risk of criticism against a network known for science and education. Behind the scenes, producers were dealing with pressure from multiple directions. Ratings remained strong, yet debates over Cesar's methods refused to disappear. Every season brought another headline, another interview, and another public argument. What nobody realized was that an even greater tragedy was waiting for Cesar Millan away from television cameras, a personal loss that would completely change his life and push him into the darkest period he had ever experienced. By 2010, Cesar Millan appeared to have everything. He was one of the most recognizable television personalities in the world, millions of people watched his show every week, and his business continued to grow. But behind the success, his personal life was beginning to collapse. The first devastating blow came with the death of Daddy, the legendary pit bull that had become the symbol of Dog Whisperer. Daddy was more than a television dog. He was Cesar's closest training partner, appearing beside him for years and helping calm some of the most aggressive animals ever featured on the show. Losing Daddy felt like losing a member of his own family. Fans mourned the dog, but only Cesar truly understood how important that quiet companion had been throughout his journey from struggling immigrant to international star. Before he could recover from that loss, another tragedy arrived. After 16 years of marriage, his wife filed for divorce. The family life that had supported him throughout his rise suddenly disappeared, leaving him emotionally exhausted and completely overwhelmed. For someone who spent every episode teaching people to remain calm under pressure, the pain became impossible to hide. Later, Cesar admitted that he fell into a severe depression. He lost weight, isolated himself from others, and felt like he had failed as both a husband and a father. The pressure from television, public criticism, business responsibilities, and personal heartbreak all crashed into his life at the same time. The situation became so serious that he attempted to take his own life and was rushed to the hospital. Thankfully, he survived. Instead of giving up, Cesar slowly rebuilt himself through therapy, exercise, family support, and returning to the work he loved most, helping dogs and their owners. Very few viewers knew any of this while the show was still airing. On television he continued smiling, teaching, and transforming difficult dogs, but behind the cameras he was fighting the hardest battle of his life. At the same time, National Geographic executives were facing their own difficult decision. The controversy surrounding the show refused to disappear, production costs continued increasing, and ratings were no longer growing the way they once had. The combination of scientific criticism, negative headlines, legal concerns, and Cesar's personal struggles created a situation that became harder to manage every season. What had once been one of television's biggest success stories was slowly approaching its final chapter, even though millions of loyal fans had no idea that the end was only months away. In September 2012, after 9 seasons and more than 160 episodes, Dog Whisperer officially came to an end. The announcement was simple, thanking fans for years of support, but it never fully explained why one of television's biggest animal shows was suddenly over. The truth is that there wasn't one single reason. It was the result of several problems colliding at exactly the same time. The ratings, while still impressive, had started to decline. Production costs had grown much higher than they were in the early years. Animal behavior experts continued criticizing the show's methods, creating negative publicity that followed almost every new season. National Geographic, a network built on science and education, found itself defending a program that many professional organizations openly disagreed with. Behind all of that was a man trying to rebuild his own life after loss, divorce, depression, and unimaginable personal pain. Eventually, the network decided it was time to move on. But something unexpected happened. The end of Dog Whisperer did not end Cesar Millan. Instead of disappearing, he took his work directly to audiences around the world, performing live demonstrations with rescue dogs and teaching owners how to better understand animal behavior. He returned to television with new projects, expanded his training centers, built a massive online following, and reached millions through YouTube and social media. His message also evolved. Instead of focusing only on changing dogs, he began emphasizing that better humans create better dogs. The real transformation, he explained, starts with the owner, not the animal. Even today, the debate continues. Supporters point to thousands of dogs that found new homes because of his rehabilitation techniques. Critics continue to argue that modern behavioral science offers safer and more effective approaches. Both sides remain convinced they are protecting the welfare of animals. Perhaps that is why Cesar Millan remains one of the most discussed figures in dog training history. Few television personalities have inspired so much admiration and so much criticism at the same time. But maybe the biggest lesson from his story has nothing to do with dogs. It is the reminder that the people who appear strongest on the outside are often carrying battles no one else can see. Behind the confident television personality was a man who lost his closest companion, watched his marriage fall apart, survived depression, and still found the strength to begin again. The Dog Whisperer ended, but Cesar Millan's story didn't. And more than 20 years after first appearing on television, he is still proving that resilience, just like trust, is built one step at a time. If you enjoyed this documentary and want more untold celebrity stories, unforgettable rise and fall journeys, and the real truth behind the world's biggest stars, don't forget to subscribe and let us know in the comments. What do you think really ended Dog Whisperer? Scientific controversy, falling ratings, or the personal struggles that no television audience ever saw?